You're so used to like dieting and being like, my worth is like dependent on what I eat. It's like so hard to imagine that it could be different, but it will be different, I promise.
Hi guys, my name is Leah and welcome back to my channel.
First of all, it's not your fault, it's never your fault, okay? No matter what people say. Like there's this cliche that anorexic people, they're these slim white girls that are just rich and that just don't have anything better to do than to just stop eating and that just want to cause a fuss. Forget all of that, fuck it. And fuck everybody who like says that. Honestly, this like makes me so angry, right? There was even like at the psychiatry that I went to, due to severe depression, panic disorder, and anorexia nervosa. Well, I had atypical anorexia nervosa, but it was no less traumatic than anorexia nervosa. So there was like this therapist that I talked to, and at first she was like completely normal, never made any mean comments, because therapists aren't supposed to make any mean comments, right? That's like the worst thing they could possibly do. But this specific therapist, one session I like told her, oh my god, I'm struggling with these thoughts, with anorexic thoughts, oh my god. What does she do? She's like, because she was a music therapist, but that doesn't justify anything at all. So she was a music therapist, and then she goes, yeah, maybe we can like make a story out of it, and you can play it with the instruments. Like, why? And it was just unacceptable, because she was like, yeah, the story could be Princess Leah doesn't want to eat. Then a prince comes around and gets her a cake, but she still wouldn't eat. Then a second prince came and offers her whatever. At that point I didn't even listen, because I had tears in my eyes and I was shook. I didn't know what to say, because that like confirmed my worst fears. So just like no matter what people say, just don't listen to them. And it is hard because it's like very vulnerable. You have all these thoughts in your head and you blame yourself, because it's easier to blame yourself, because then you know, okay, it's my fault. So if I stop doing that, if I stop being anorexic, I mean you can, but it's so hard. So like if you think, yeah, it's my fault, then maybe if I change, then everything's gonna be so much better. I have control over this. My goodness. And if then somebody says, and especially a person that you trust, says something like that, that hurts. And I completely get it. If you have anorexia or an eating disorder, I'm so sorry, first of all. I'm really sorry. It's hell. You must be going through hell. Sometimes the thing is that you don't even notice that you're going through hell, because you're so used to being in hell. You're so used to having these emotions, stability, and that low self-esteem. Every person, I would argue, that has anorexia has. Plus, you need to know that anorexia is an illness that can affect anybody, okay? No matter what they look like, right? The stereotype is like a slim white girl, whatever, spoiled. Fuck all of that. Fuck all of that. Everybody can be anorexic. Picture this. I'm at the psychiatry and they send me to a doctor to like get my brain scanned or something like that. And I arrive at the doctor and the doctor's like, oh, so why are you at a psychiatry? Dude, first of all, it's in my medical report. Yeah, it's the depression, anorexia nervosa. And he goes, and I want to slap him for this. I want to slap him. Anorexia? I thought if you had it, you'd have to be thinner than that. There's one rule that you have to follow when speaking to an anorexic person. There's one rule, okay? And the rule is don't comment on their appearance. Do not comment on their appearance. Like, fuck that shit. And that is a doctor. Like, goodbye. You should no longer be allowed to practice. Like, seriously, if you can't keep your mouth shut. What were you trying to say with that? Be like, I think I'm a better psychiatrist. Just looking at you, I can tell, no, you're not yet that thin, and you're not yet lying at a hospital with that. So your illness is not serious. Maybe that's a funny joke to make to a person that has to be at a psychiatry due to this illness. Wow! So with that, I just want to say that you're not alone. And a lot of people that you don't even suspect would have anorexia. So just like, be sensible, okay? And in general, don't make if you're watching this, just in general, whether you have anorexia or not, don't comment on a person's appearance. I mean, sure, if you have a friend that like eats very little, then you could be like, hi, are you okay? And the thing is like, really, it is not your fault. Because it is an illness. There's a reason that people are admitted to a psychiatry because of that illness. It is a serious, deadly illness. And yet people say, just start eating again. But it's not that simple. It's not that simple. So if if you have anorexia, know that you're not alone. It's an illness. It like accelerates itself, okay? You have, at one point, you don't have any control over it whatsoever. And you develop these eating habits. For instance, like, I don't know, eating very slowly or walking very fast. That's like one thing as well. Like at the psychiatry, people used to say, or like this one girl used to say, yeah, that's always like the anorexic. And it is literally nobody's fault. It's a response to trauma and stress. There must have been some things that have happened like during your childhood or even like recently, some stress factors. And so that is your body's response, like as a coping mechanism. Let's say, okay, during my childhood, I was neglected in some way. And so then, obviously, subconsciously, like my brain wants to protect me from that trauma. They want to like have something else to focus on. Ideally something that you can control. So for me it was food. Because like people always commented on me being like, oh, you're so thin, whatever. And like people in my environment used to diet. That's how it like came into being. Plus I was like always a very ambitious person. Like I was very good at school. I felt like I always had to be good at school. It was like the norm for me. So I had very high standards. And that's like just one thing that like basically makes it easier for you to develop anorexia nervosa. So it is a natural coping mechanism of many people. There are a lot of people that have anorexia nervosa. You are not alone. It still doesn't make it any better, obviously. It doesn't make it any better at all. And you're not wrong for like not eating. And it is, so just whenever you think that, just be like, no, that's wrong, no. And it's like ridiculous. No sane person would go, I want to do this, I want to diet. I mean, obviously people are like, I have to be smart, but nobody physically chooses be that thin, right? I was very thin. My face did not look good. My face did not look healthy, but yet I couldn't stop. Because like these memories were ingrained in my head. I have to eat less, and you get like body dysmorphia. I really like encourage you as well to like separate your anorexic thoughts from like the rest of your persona, right? So you have anorexia, the illness, and then you have, in my case, Leah. So whenever I think like, oh, now I need to run, I should run like 10K every day. That would be, I have to do that, otherwise I'll gain weight. And no, I can't gain weight. That's anorexia nervosa. Then I have Leah, who's like looking at this from another perspective. Okay, that is the strategy that like helps with the blame thing. And we did this at the psychiatry, so you just like externalize your illness. And I also like wrote a letter to anorexia nervosa, like a goodbye letter. Do I have it in here actually? No, I think I have it in my old diary, because like this is my diary. Or like you write a letter to anorexia nervosa as your friend and one as your enemy. And obviously it has a lot of pros. Like if you're depressed, then anorexia is a coping mechanism. But the thing is, ultimately, everything is going to be so much better when you're able to eat anything and without thinking of it, okay? I promise. I know that it might not like feel like that, because you're so used to like dieting and being like, my worth is like dependent on what I eat. If I eat like one scoop of ice cream, I'm a bad person. I know that if you think that, it's like so hard to imagine that it could be different, but it will be different, I promise. Obviously it's hard to imagine that your life is ever going to be different. You gotta fight. This is a serious illness. It can and it will be deadly if you don't get help, okay? Don't you ever dare to think, oh my god, I'm not yet in a hospital bed. I'm not yet dying. I don't yet have to be like given food via a tube. Well, guess what? These people that are now in the hospital, that are now dying because of their severe mental illness, these were once people like you that like were like, oh, whatever, I'm just chilling my life, it's not that serious. It is. And you shouldn't have to go through that, okay? You should not have to go through that. It's hell and I understand it. And now your happiness is like so dependent on food. You might feel like you're happy, but you're not. It's the same with schizophrenia. Schizophrenic people hear all these voices and they might feel like, oh my god, I'm so happy now, whatever. But actually like, no, that's not the case, right? And you will only like discover this level of happiness once once you get better. The thing is that if your happiness is dependent on something, like dependent on how my body looks, okay? You're ultimately like chasing a body that you know that you'll never outrun. And that's like a line from a song that I listen to. It's Smaller Than This by Sarah Case. And I know it by heart and I like have it in my mind whenever I like struggle with anorexia. You could always be thinner. You could always be more sick. You could always be dead. You know how in my last videos I like talked about depression and not depressed? It's like completely different. And now I can't imagine what it was like to be depressed. And when I was depressed, I can't imagine what it was like to be happy. However, within 3.5 months, my mindset completely changed. And I wasn't depressed anymore, and it is possible. You deserve to be happy. You deserve to be healthy. Please, for the love of God, please just fight for it. Die. I don't want you to get sicker. Please, please seek help. It doesn't mean that you're weak.